Karen called 911 on my ranch party, claiming there were dangerous people and illegal activity happening on my property. But what she didn't know was that almost everyone at that party was a law enforcement officer. Yeah, real cops, off duty, but still very much cops. And when the patrol cars actually showed up, things didn't go the way she expected, because instead of shutting my party down, they started recognizing faces, shaking hands, laughing. And Karen. She went from confident to completely silent in seconds. But it didn't stop there. What she did next, that's what landed her in court. Before we get into it, where are you watching from? Drop your city in the comments. This all happened about a month ago, and yeah, my name's Daniel. I own a ranch just outside the city. It's not huge, but it's big enough to host gatherings, bonfires, barbecues, nothing crazy, just a place to unwind. And after a long couple of weeks at work, I decided to throw a small get-together. Nothing wild. Just some friends, good food, music, and a break from the stress. Now here's the part that matters. Most of my friends aren't your average neighbors. They're from my department officers, deputies, a couple of detectives. Even a retired sergeant showed up. We weren't in uniform, obviously. Just regular people hanging out, laughing, eating, telling stories. Completely normal, completely legal. But not everyone saw it that way, because across the fence line lived her. The woman everyone in the area quietly warned me about, always watching, always complaining, always convinced something illegal was happening. Yeah, a classic Karen. And apparently, that night, she decided my party was her next mission. It started small, but something about it felt off right away. Around 9 p.m., I noticed her standing near the edge of her property, just staring, arms crossed, completely still, like she was waiting for something to happen. At first, I ignored it. People look, people judge. It's normal, but then she pulled out her phone and started recording. Not casually, intentionally. Walking back and forth along the fence, zooming in on faces, whispering under her breath, like she was narrating a crime documentary. Every now and then she'd point at someone, shake her head, and type something into her phone. That's when a weird tension started building. A couple of my friends noticed it too. The music was still playing, people were laughing, but in the background, you could feel eyes watching every move. One of the guys joked, "Man, she's building a whole case on us." But even he sounded a little unsure. Then she disappeared for a minute, and honestly, that silence felt louder than anything before it. I remember thinking either she gave up or she's about to escalate this, and that's when it happened. About 20 minutes later, the distant sound of sirens cut through the night, at first faint, then getting closer and closer, until it was impossible to ignore. Conversations slowed down, people turned their heads, the music dropped, and in that moment, you could literally feel the energy shift from relaxed and casual to tense and uncertain. Someone muttered, "No way she actually called it in." But deep down, we all knew she did. The flashing red and blue lights started reflecting off the fence, off the windows, even off the surface of the pool water, turning the whole backyard into something straight out of a scene. And the craziest part, no one ran. No one panicked, because most of the people there had been on the other side of that exact situation before. But still, this was different. This time, they weren't responding to a call. They were the reason for it. And as the patrol cars rolled up to the gate, engines idling, lights cutting through the dark, I glanced toward her property one more time. And there she was again, standing in the distance, phone in hand, watching everything unfold with this confident, almost satisfied look on her face, like she had just set something in motion that she thought she fully controlled. Not realizing, in just a few seconds, everything was about to flip on her. The officers stepped out of their cars slowly, flashlights cutting through the darkness, hands resting near their belts. Not aggressive, but alert, trained, ready for anything. The air went completely still, conversations died mid-sentence. Music faded into silence, and for a split second, it actually felt like something serious was about to go down. They walked through the gate, scanning faces, observing everything like they would on any real call. And then it happened. One of them suddenly paused, leaned forward slightly, and said, "Wait, Daniel." I couldn't help but smile, stepping forward. "Yeah, didn't expect to see you tonight." And just like that, the entire energy flipped. Another officer squinted, then laughed. "No way. Is that Mike? From last year's case?" Someone else chimed in. "Yo, that's Sergeant Harris." Within seconds, what was supposed to be a tense police response turned into recognition after recognition. Handshakes, nods, even a few quiet laughs. You could literally see the confusion on the newer officers' faces, like they walked into the wrong scene. But behind them, Karen stepped forward, and her confidence hadn't dropped yet. In fact, it looked like she was getting impatient. "Officers," she said sharply, trying to regain control of the moment. "This is exactly what I was reporting. Suspicious activity, loud disturbances, and a large, unauthorized gathering." The officers turned toward her, calm but now slightly more serious. One of them asked, "Ma'am, can you specify what law is being broken here?" She hesitated for just a second, then pointed directly at us. "They're drinking, they're making noise, and I don't recognize half these people. This doesn't look right." That's when one of the officers glanced around again, then back at her and said in a flat tone, "Ma'am, these are off-duty officers. This is a private property gathering." You could actually hear the shift in her breathing, but instead of backing off, she stepped closer. "I don't care who they are," she snapped, voice rising. "Now, rules still apply. This could be illegal, and I want it investigated properly." Now the mood changed again. No more smiles. No more casual tone. One of the senior officers straightened up and said, "We are investigating it, and so far there's no violation." But Karen wasn't done. She pointed at me this time, almost shaking with frustration. "He's abusing his position. You're all covering for each other." That accusation landed heavy, the kind that instantly kills any remaining humor in the situation. The officers exchanged looks, and now it was clear. This wasn't just a misunderstanding anymore. One of them stepped forward, voice firm. "Ma'am, that's a serious accusation. Do you have any evidence to support that claim?" Silence, just for a second, but instead of stepping back, she doubled down. "I know what I saw, and I'm not leaving until something is done." That's when the final shift happened. The lead officer took a slow breath, nodded slightly, and said, "All right. Then we're going to document everything." You could hear body cams adjusting, radios clicking, pens coming out. The casual energy was completely gone now, replaced with procedure, structure, and authority. And standing there, watching it all unfold, you could see it on her face for the first time, that tiny crack in confidence. Because what she thought was her moment of control had just turned into something official, something recorded, something real. And there was no way to take it back anymore. At that point, it should have been over. Just a misunderstanding, maybe a warning, and everyone goes home. But Karen didn't stop. She couldn't. Instead of backing down, she stepped forward again. Voice louder now, sharper, almost desperate to prove something. "No, this isn't right. You're all covering for each other. I want this officially reported." The officers went quiet for a second, and you could feel the shift immediately. This wasn't casual anymore. One of them looked at her directly and said, calm but firm, "Ma'am, you need to be very careful with what you're claiming right now." But she didn't listen. She pointed again, repeating herself, doubling down on every accusation, her voice cutting through the silence, like she was trying to force reality to match her version of events. That's when the lead officer gave a small nod, and everything became procedural. Statements started being taken, body cams were adjusted, radios crackled softly in the background, and suddenly the entire situation transformed into something official. And the irony, she was still recording too. Her own phone capturing every word she said, every exaggerated claim. Every moment she refused to step back. One of the officers finally said it clearly, "Ma'am, filing a false report is a criminal offense if you continue. This will be documented." There was a pause, a real chance for her to stop. You could see it that split second where she could have just walked away. But instead, she shook her head and said, "I stand by what I said." And just like that, it crossed the line. What started as a noise complaint turned into a formal case. Over the next few days, reports were filed, footage was reviewed, and statements from multiple officers, all consistent, all clear, painted the same picture. And then came the court date. Walking into that courtroom weeks later, the energy felt completely different from that night. No music, no laughter, no backyard lights, just silence, structure, and consequence. Karen stood on the opposite side, and the confidence she had that night. Gone. Completely gone. Her posture was stiff, her voice quieter, her eyes avoiding contact. When the footage was presented, body cam recordings, her original 911 call, even clips from her own phone. The room fell into a heavy silence. You could hear every word she had said that night, played back exactly as it happened. No emotion to hide behind, no exaggeration to lean on, just facts. The judge watched carefully, occasionally glancing up at her, then back at the screen, and when it was over, he didn't take long. He leaned forward slightly and said, "You made a knowingly false emergency report and continued to escalate the situation after being informed no violation existed. This is a misuse of public resources and a serious offense." The words landed hard. There was no arguing, no interrupting this time. Just silence. Then came the ruling. A fine, a formal charge on record, and a clear warning that any repeat behavior would carry heavier consequences. And standing there in that moment, you could see it finally hit her. That everything she thought she controlled that night, every accusation she made, every step she pushed forward, had led her right here. Not to victory, not to validation, but to accountability. After the court ruling, everything finally settled. No more late night calls, no more spying from across the fence, no more baseless complaints. Just quiet, peaceful nights on the ranch again. Friends started coming over, laughter returned, and the music played freely without anyone fearing another drama. Filled interruption. And honestly, that's exactly what I wanted from the start. Peace, normalcy, and the reassurance that sometimes staying calm and collecting evidence beats reacting in anger. Because while some people try to assert power through false claims or intimidation, real strength comes from patience, preparation, and knowing the law is on your side. So if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more intense, real-life drama that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if someone called the police on you during a party like this? Would you stay calm like I did, or confront them head on? I want to know where you stand.